Whether you call them myths, fables, or folklore, tales of crazy creatures have been told and retold all over the world since the dawn of time. While some are completely out there, what would you do if I told you that some were actually, well, out there? Mermaids are probably the most popular mythical creatures to date, with origin stories coming from just about every corner of the globe. And just in case you've been living under an actual boulder, mermaids are humanoid mammal fish that generally come with the top half of a beautiful woman and the bottom half of some kind of mix between dolphins and marlin. Also known as sirens and said to be quite the charmers with a nice set of pipes, as thousands of stories exist about the creatures luring sailors to their watery death with nothing more than their beauty and a song. I guess beauty really is in the eye of the drunken sailor, because it appears as though what was once thought to be a creature of ultimate fantasy is actually just a manatee, or dugong, also referred to as a sea cow. So, myth busted? Well, the thing is, manatees are generally only found in waters of about 3 to 7 feet deep, maximum 10 to 17, which kind of begs the question, are we really sure that a dugong is all the sailors saw out on the rolling deep sea in the dead of night? Well, I'll put it to you this way. To date, only 5% of the ocean has been explored, so we never really know. Next up, we have the Lernaean Hydra, a creature that finds its origins based in Greek mythology. The Hydra is said to have been birthed by the mother and father of monsters, and to have 3 to 7 heads, toxic breath and blood, as well as regenerative and immortal properties. Hercules was the one to defeat the creature in a daring battle in which he cut off the monsters' heads only to watch in horror as they grew back stronger. Eventually, however, Hercules realized that by cauterizing the point of breakage between neck and head, he no longer had this problem. As Hercules came closer to victory, the mother of the beast, fearful for its demise, sent a giant crab down to the river in which the snake-like creature lived in order to assist it in the battle. But success was not given to the monsters that day, as they both perished in the fight. A 3-headed corn snake, appropriately named none other than Hydra, is our modern-day version of the giant reptilian creature. The 3 heads are due to a phenomenon referred to as polycephaly that creates mutations within the animals. What do you think? So, you know the giant crab I mentioned like just a minute ago? Well, yeah, that's actually real too. Surprise! This mythical creature comes to us in the form of a Japanese spider crab. These monsters that come from the deep sea are massive, with a possible leg span of up to 13 feet across and a diet that consists of dead or decaying fish. So basically corpses. Not only that, but the creatures are said to be immortal, as they are thought to live for over 100 years and also have the ability to regenerate their limbs. Another fun fact, when the giant crab reaches adulthood, its center body stops growing, but just like human ears and noses, its legs will continue to grow throughout its lifespan. Oh, and females of the species can also lay up to 1.5 million eggs within a single birthing season. So, yeah. Super cool. Next on the list, we have the ningen, a staple of mid-2000s Japanese folklore. This aquatic whale-like humanoid is said to roam throughout the icy waters of the Antarctic region. The creature was reportedly first sighted by both Japanese fishing and research vessels, claiming to have seen the human-like figures within the waters beneath their boats. The ningen, which means human in Japanese, is said to be somewhere between 60 and 90 feet long, meaning it's ginormous, and many people believe the animal's existence is being covered up by the government because of the fact that the original video said to have captured the ningen has since been wiped from all corners of the internet. However, it appears that 3 photographs do still remain available for our viewing pleasure. One, taken from a remote-operated camera that depicts the creature in a greenish glow, another from an aerial view showing off its massive size, and one more captured through ROV, remote-operated vehicle footage, depicting the creature floating eerily in the dark of the deep sea. At our halfway point, we have the jackalope. Believe it or not, the horned rabbit is in fact real, and also way creepier than we thought. The legend of the jackalope found its origins in North American folklore, described as a jackrabbit with the horns of an antelope. While some cultures view the animal as an omen of bad luck, others view it as a sign of good fortune. In reality, it's actually neither. I mean, it's kind of bad luck for the rabbit, as the occurrence of the horns, which look more like random spikes than antelope antlers, is due to a disease called Shope palinomavirus, which originally appeared in cottontails, not jackrabbits, and is is closely related to the HPV virus. However, the Shope strain is non-transmittable from animals to humans. The disease, which causes hard, dark warts to grow on the face of cottontails, has now also been found within bush rabbits, black-tailed jackrabbits, snowshoe hares, European rabbits, and even domestic ones too. Next we have the sea serpent, not something you really want to see on a day out in the water, or maybe you do, as mythologically speaking, serpents were said to be representative of creative life force as well as fertility. Along with that, the fabled shedding of the oceanic reptile skin has been said to represent transformation, rebirth, and immortality. So how does all this talk of omens and myths translate to reality? The titanoboa, a 47-foot-long aquatic snake estimated to have lived 58 to 60 million years ago, discovered, fossilized of course, in the early 2000s by the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute in a coal mine deep within the rainforests of Colombia. Now, because the titanoboa is now extinct, I'll give you a 2-for-1. Today, scientists believe that the creature many sailors mistakenly mistook for a sea serpent is none other than the oarfish. As I mentioned in my previous video, that thing can grow up to be 36 feet long, making it the largest bony fish alive today. No 47-foot-long prehistoric sea snake, but it is pretty close. This next one is for all of my Game of Thrones fans out there who I'm pretty sure, like me, will be very happy to learn that no, not dragons, guys, I'm a researcher, not a miracle worker, but like I said, dire wolves actually do exist. Well, did exist. Like I said, I'm no miracle worker. Epicyon haydeni, as they are scientifically referred to, went extinct around 5 million years ago, so we just missed them. But our human ancestors might have lived amongst them, as our earliest record of human life does date back to sometime between 5 and 7 million years ago. The massive canid would have stood 35 inches, about 3 feet tall at the shoulder, and had a length of just 1.2 inches shy of 8 feet long. The largest canine alive today, and therefore the closest depiction we have to the direwolf, is the gray wolf, which comes in at an honestly just slightly less impressive shoulder height of 30 inches and body length of 6 feet. Next up is the kraken. Like mermaids, I guarantee you've heard of this one before, but if not, here it goes. A gigantic, legendary sea monster and another yet major enemy of our seafaring sailor friends, the kraken has been known to sink ships in minutes with its gigantic squid-like tentacles and beak. Well, not so much squid-like as squid exactly. Thought to be nothing more than a myth up until 1856, when the discovery of the giant squid took place in 1856, when a Danish zoologist uncovered records of Danish men having caught the creature all the way back in 1550. The largest giant squid, also known as the chief squid, discovered to date is an insane 13 meters long, that's almost 43 feet, and weighs 495 kilograms, which is 1,091 pounds. So while the animal probably wouldn't have been able to sink gigantic fleets of Voyager ships as the legends tell, I'm guessing it wouldn't have much trouble taking down a rowboat or two. Guys, I hate to do this to you because I so wanted it to be true that an inconceivably large shark species was roaming around the deep to one day be discovered by marine scientists and research experts, but the thing is, the megalodon just isn't that big. I mean, it's huge, but also some reports have suggested that it's literally the same size as a whale shark, and actually a bit smaller, as the largest whale shark apparently measured up to 18.5 meters, 60 feet, whereas the megalodon was said to have measured in at just 18 meters, 59 feet. But I get it, you're looking for a giant carnivorous shark. So let me give you this. An even bigger shark, I'm talking about a mega-sized megalodon, possibly measuring in at more than 30 meters or 100 feet, might have existed at some point. You see, before humans began spreading out across the globe, there was something called megafauna, which basically just refers to really large animals, some examples being the dire wolf, mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, and woolly rhinoceroses. When humans began to encroach on the lands of these animals, it is predicted that there was not enough resources to support both them and our Homo sapien ancestors. And because they were much larger than us, and therefore most likely had longer gestation periods and required more food and land, as we said hello to the agricultural revolution, we unfortunately waved goodbye to the majority of the world's megafauna on land. And when the fishing industry began to pick up, aquatic megafauna began to die off as well, most likely including the megalodon. but who knows? Again, only 5% of the ocean has been explored to date. Alright guys, before we get into the last one, please let me know the weirdest creature that you've ever seen down below in the comments. Lastly, we have the Chimera, a creature often referred to in Greek mythology as an amalgamation of many different animals fused together. And this thing is so cool to look at. The creature was discovered in the 1980s in the Karoo region of South Africa, and it's still around today, but the earliest fossil found so far dates all the way back to around 280 million years ago. But it is said that the species first came to be after diverging from their shark relatives almost 400 million years ago. Due to their ghostly appearance and their close relation to sharks via their prehistoric shark ancestors, this species has been appropriately nicknamed the ghost shark. Straightforward. I like it. The ghost shark can be found in pretty much all oceans except for the Arctic at a depth of about 2,600 to 8,500 feet. They weigh generally between 5.5 to 8.8 pounds and are a cartilage-based animal. They have one gill on either side of their bodies and have an upper jaw fused to their skull. Think about taking a swim with one of these as you fall asleep tonight.
Number 10, Pokemon. There are more than a few reasons to fear cemeteries, though I personally find them pretty lethal. During the day anyways. But many believe, and rightly so, that spirits of both good and evil walk among the stones and sleeping corpses. In the Indonesian and Malaysian tradition, one such spirit is actually a demon named Hokang, and you don't want to run into him. He is pale, shriveled with no eyes, and his body drips with decay as he floats around. Hokang is a result of a tormented spirit who is trapped on Earth. In the tradition of Muslim burials, a shroud must cover the body and be tied in 3 places: the head, the neck, and the feet. Then, after 46 days, the ties are to be removed so the soul can be set free. But if they forget, then the soul is trapped. As a result, the soul turns into a bitter, tormented demon and will spend its time on Earth attacking anyone it encounters. Should you ever encounter one though, fall to the ground and play dead, or run down a long road until you're out of sight. Peace, demon. Alright, number 9, Legion. What's more terrifying than one demon, you ask? Well, obviously more than one. In fact, lots and lots of demons. In the Bible, in the Gospel of Mark 5:9, a man approached Jesus and claimed he was afflicted by a demon. When Jesus asked the man, "What is thy name?" he answered, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Like, what an epic way to present yourself, you know? Sounded like things were pretty crowded in the poor guy. Somehow this guy got possessed by over 2,000 demons, and when Jesus expelled them from the man, he sent their spirits into a flock of nearby pigs. The pigs then ran into the Sea of Galilee and drowned. Number 8, Manana God. This creature hails from the Philippines and is absolutely terrifying to behold. I totally said the name wrong, I know. There was just I couldn't find it on the internet, guys, just so you know. I welcome correction, as always. A beautiful woman by day, the demon transforms into evil incarnate when the sun descends. Her back expands into large withered wings, her fangs extend, her fingers grow long, razor-sharp claws. Sounds a little like a vampire, right? Except for the fact that she has to sever her torso from her legs and trails her innards as she flies. Ugh. But during the day, she feeds on the blood of men she seduces into a trap, and pregnant women at night feasting on their wounds. She's literally horrible 24/7, like the definition of evil never sleeps. She just gets worse. But there is a way to best her. If you can find the lower half of her body, cover it in mash, salt, or garlic, then you have a chance of destroying her. She has to reunite with the lower half of her body by sunrise, otherwise she will be destroyed. Beyond that, carry garlic, pungent spices, daggers, tails of stingrays, and holy water to protect yourself. Otherwise, she's a-coming and nothing on earth can stop her. Number 7, Asog. This demon originates from the ancient Sumerian legend and is so terrifying to behold that his mere presence could boil fish. In the Sumerian mythological poem, Asog was described as being huge with 3 legs, 3 arms, with no neck, and more than a few eyes covering his body. His skin is practically indestructible, which served him well as his main mission was to defeat the god Naruto. In order to do so, he even created an army made of rock people. Thwarted by Naruto, Asog turned to tormenting humanity. He hunts humans and creates disease and plague upon mankind. He would cover a human like a piece of cloth, causing headaches, fevers, and a violent sickness and making them entirely too weak to survive. Maybe he was responsible for a certain pandemic? You were thinking it, I'm just saying it. Number 6, Jaikininki. This demon hails from the Japanese Buddhism tradition and directly translates to human-eating ghosts. So yeah, pretty much scary right out of the gate there. Humans are their main source of food, though they at least wait until you're dead. They are the spirits of greedy, selfish, and impious souls and appear as human when seen for the most part. Their features are monstrous and have sharp teeth they use to tear the skin from the bones of the dead. As you would expect, they look like rotting corpses themselves, save their glowing yellow eyes. But variants on the lore say that they are actually able to disguise themselves as regular humans during the day, but at night they must feast. Though they have to eat human flesh to survive, they don't enjoy it, but it is the only thing that can slake their eternal hunger. So perhaps it is not so much a case of being afraid of them while you're alive, but the fear of turning into one when you die that makes these creatures so grotesque. Number 5, Abaddon. Abaddon, aka the Destroyer. Abaddon is the 5th angel who fell from heaven and was given the key to the abyss. When the apocalypse comes, he will open it and unleash a terrifying horde of locusts. But not just any locusts. They have a sting like scorpions and only a hunger for human flesh of those who do not have a sign of the Lord upon them. They are not allowed to kill humans, only torture them. For 5 months, leaving the people to seek death but unable to die. The locusts will also look horrendous. They will have human faces. If you're having trouble picturing that, just remember those cockroaches from Cats. They'll also be dolled up in armor, have teeth like lions, and have long, flowing hair. Abaddon is their king, so if you thought the locusts sound terrifying, then so is he by default. He's a good reason to carry some intense bug spray with you at all times. Number 4, Moloch. I honestly don't know which is more terrifying, Moloch himself or the worship of him in general. Moloch and the worship of Moloch is condemned a few times in the Bible for one big reason. Though many religions are not strangers to human sacrifice, Moloch asks for a very specific kind from the younger generation. Many newborns were offered up as sacrifices to God in order to ensure a promise for increased fertility, either for that person or the land. Yeah, guys, let's just give up the kid that we just gave birth to so we can have more kids. Like, no logic. Anyways, the bull-like statue depictions of him popular in the Bronze Age had 7 chambers, one of which was meant for the brutal aforementioned sacrifice. They would heat the structure from within and then place the offering inside and beat the drums so they couldn't hear the screaming. Yeah. This one's pretty bad. Number 3, Asmodeus. Here we go, we're ending strong with our top 3. Asmodeus is one of the most powerful of the infernal demons of hell. You have heard of the town of Sodom, essentially the OG Sin City. That was all his work, and he is super proud of it. Originally a man, Asmodeus is known for guiding citizens toward depravity by feeding them irresistible temptation after the next. He guided the king of Sodom's hand in destroying the city, taking it so far that God's wrath came down upon them. Because he was so corrupt in life, Asmodeus became a demon in death due to his unquenchable lust. That's a promotion for him, I guess. Number 2, Beelzebub. It's so hard to think he's scary when he's got such a fun name to say. It sounds like bubblegum. Anyways. Who better to be number 2 than Satan's right-hand man, Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, one of the 7 princes of hell. He's associated with the figure of Baal, a former fertility god with an unquenchable hunger. He is said to be one of the most powerful demons of the 7, Lucifer obviously being number 1. He is said to represent the sin of gluttony. He is known to devour all and anything he can in the form of plagues. In religions prior to Catholicism, Beelzebub was associated with sacrifices. Wherever blood was spilt in the name of worship, he was there. He also likes to possess people and torment them, so if you're afraid of possession overall, I would definitely do everything you can to avoid this guy. After all, he's one step away from being Satan. And number 1, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I feel like the title really explains it all as to why these guys are in our number 1 spot. They are literally going to bring about the end of the world. Satan doesn't do that, they do. Conquest will arrive first, riding a white horse, though he's no knight in shining armor, I will say. His arrival is detailed in Revelation as a man wearing a crown and carrying a bow. Also described as a charismatic leader with unlimited ability to conquer. Next up, war with a large sword and a red horse. He has the power turning even lovers to war and can make people kill each other on a dime. Following that, famine, which is always an inevitable factor of war. Last but certainly not least, death, who will arrive on a pale green horse. Besides the obvious reasons these demons are terrifying, you can safely bet that they may already be at work. Considering the amount of war the world has already seen and continues to see to this day, these demons might be far closer to being more human than we may imagine them to be.